Hi, my name is Sage, and this week I wanted to make some cute little clay ghosties and put them all around a lamppost. And how I got this idea was I was scrolling through Pinterest and I found this screenshot of how to make a lamp, but from like the dollar store, and I was like, oh my god, say less, I want to try that. And I thought, damn, I could do that, so that's what we're going to be doing this video. And to get started, I'm going to need a wooden base, some tin foil, and 2 glasses. And so my quest to make a lamppost begins, and it begins with Gorilla Glue. Not sponsored. And I start by gluing the bottom martini glass to the top glass. I don't know what you'd call the top glass. I'm gonna call it Bob. And I think the martini glass and Bob are gonna be like, damn, let's stay together forever. And Bob had different ideas. And so I Gorilla Glue the bottom of Bob so then they have a better chance of adhering. And then suddenly, everything works out. Next, I move on to making the skeletons, in quotations, of the ghosts by making little round tinfoil balls. And since I'm me, I do make them various sizes because that's just who I am at my core, and I make 5. And once all 5 are made, I then cover them each with a layer of clay. And now I get to add the wispies to the end of the ghosts. So to do that, I just take my finger and pull down the clay and pinch it so wispies appear. And then after that, I also do some smoothing and give them some eyes, and I continue to do this on all 5 of the ghosts. And you may be like, Sage, you really did like the exact same thing over and over again 5 times in a row? You bet I did. Because I don't know about y'all, but I enjoy zoning out, and this was the perfect zoning out activity. Plus, then I also get cute little ghosts at the end, so it was a win-win for me. And now I get to add their accessories, which I'm super excited to do, and I decide to go with winter accessories, so each one of them are gonna get something different but wintry. And for the first ghost, I decide to make her a little hat. Ooh, I make a little log shape and then wrap that around her head. Next, I add a flattened piece of clay to make the top part of the hat before then blending the rim of the hat and the top together. I then give her a little pom-pom at the top of her hat because it's cute and fun. I also blend the pom-pom in with the hat. After that, I then decide to add some little lines going up and down on the hat just to add some more details, and I also put a line between the rim of the hat and the top just to add some more variation, because I know absolutely no chill and I could have just kept adding stuff for so long, but I decided to call it and move on to the next ghost. And for this ghost, I roll a little log shape before putting it around his shoulders, in quotations, before then making a mitten shape out of some new clay as I'm giving him mittens. And once I attach that mitten, I then make another one, so he now has 2 mittens. Yay! I remember these mittens when I was like young and I was like, oh my goodness, let's add them to this ghost. Next, I make another log and put it on another ghost to make some ear muffs. And to make the muff parts, I take 2 spheres, flatten them out, and then put them on each side of his head. After that, I get the ghost that I put on top of the lamppost, and I make him a scarf. Also, I named him Ugg. He just looks like an Ugg. And since Ugg's scarf is looking a little bare, I decide I'm gonna pizzazz it up because Ugg obviously knows how to accessorize, so I give him little tassels. And once the tassels are in place, I then put him up top of the lamppost again. For the final ghost, I make a boot. Ooh, and you may be like, these ghosts don't have any feet. I put it up top of his head. Is it because I ran out of ideas? Absolutely not. This ghost does end up being my favorite just because he has a silly aura to him. He got the silly Billy. After I make the boot, I then decide to do some touch-ups / more detailing on all of the ghosts. For the hat ghost, I do some stippling on the fluffy parts just to give it some more texture. For the earmuff ghost, I smooth them out and also work a little bit around the eyes. I then go back to the boot ghost and fix his eyes too by filling them in just so you don't see any of the tin foil poking through. And I also fixed the boot by adding some more details, so little fluffies on top, before then adding some boot strings. And once all the strings are on and good, I then move on to the ear muff ghost. And just like how I made the fluffies on the hat and the boot, I then go in and stipple the ear muffs too. And now all the ghosts are ready to be baked, so I go back to working on the lamppost. And by working, I mean painting, ooh, and I decide to go with black because that's just a cool color. And for the black paint, I do just use acrylic because I googled it and it said yes, I can paint glass with acrylic, but it's not waterproof, which ended up being a good thing because, as you can see here, I am painting Bob and I am painting like the middle part of him, which ends up being wrong because I was just thinking, oh, I'm just gonna paint the entire thing black. No, for a lamppost to be a lamppost, there needs to be light that can come from it, and I wasn't thinking about that. So what I end up doing was just using some paper towel and some water and wiping everything that you saw me do off. I then go over the black parts with another 4 layers of paint. Since I wanted a more opaque coloring, I do end up painting the insides of where I painted the outsides black. I know it's not completely opaque, but it's definitely good enough for me. Next, I take the wooden base and I paint it white, before then hot gluing a layer of fake snow up top of it. And once that's done, the ghosts are now out of the oven. I then go over each and every one of them with 6 layers of white acrylic paint. I then do the same with the eyes, except I paint them black. And since I don't usually use fluorescent paints, I decided I want to use them this week, and I'm gonna give each one of the ghosts one of these colors. And for the hat ghost, I'm going to start with the pink fluorescent color. I then go over it with 4 layers of the pink. I then thought that a pink pale color would look good with it, but then I was mistakenly wrong. I hated it. So I do end up going over it with purple. And one thing that I should have thought about when I was laying down the purple was to get every nook and cranny, because when I go over it again with white and purple mixture, it doesn't look as good as I thought it was going to, so I ended up just kind of going over the lighter mixture with the darker and then just kind of layering it on over and over again, when it really should have only been 2 layers. But lesson learned. Now we're on to the next ghost. And for little Mitten Man, I paint his mittens blue. And what I didn't realize about these fluorescent paints, they say semi-transparent on them on the back. So I end up going over these mittens a lot. And for the string, I do end up using a different blue. Even though it does look really similar, it doesn't once I start to layer it, and I do layer it 3 times. I also clean up any mistakes that I've made along the way. And now it's on to Mr. Boot. And for Mr. Boot, it's going to be a little different. So I'm going to go over the bottom part of the boot with just a regular orange paint, before then painting the top part red. And it's just a regular red at this point. And since I learned from the hat ghost, I do fill in all the nooks and crannies with the red. And now I use the fluorescent red to go over top of the regular red, and I also do the laces of the shoe with the fluorescent red and the bottom. I was thinking that this would help me not have to layer everything so much, but I still end up doing a lot of layers anyway, so did it really help? It's debatable. But after I did some more layers and some cleanup with the white paint, this is what he looks like. And now I'm moving on to Earmuff Man. And I decided that his color is yellow, so I go over his earmuffs with a regular yellow before then going over them with a fluorescent yellow, because in my mind, I'm convinced that it helps, but I don't think it did. But you know what? We're artists. And since I think it helps, that's all that matters. I then clean up some spots that I got on the white, and this is what he looks like. And now it's time to paint Ugg's scarf. Ooh! I paint Ugg's scarf differently than I do the others. Here I paint the first layer of fluorescent green paint, before then mixing white titanium and the fluorescent green paint and layering that up top of the first. And honestly, it worked really good. I wish I would have thought of that sooner because it just turned out great. I then do the final touch-ups on UGG, paint over any of the green that got on the little ghosty, and now all the ghosts are painted and ready to be placed around the lamppost. And I would just like to say thank you so much for watching. So now it's time for the glamour shots.